Dog's a man's best friend, and keeping them in is critical because they can, even though they're cute, do a fair bit of damage. Now, like many of you, when my wife and I got married first, we didn't have a lot of money and we bought the best fence we could afford. But unfortunately, it had some flaws. First off, the gap between the picket wires was far too wide and it didn't have enough line wires. It saved money and it meant that our large dogs were kept in, but when neighbours moved in that didn't control their dogs, their smaller dogs were able to get through the fence and cause trouble. So we've ended up patching an inadequate fence. Now, the adding of electric wires and mesh to the outside of the fence temporarily solved the problems, but created new problems. It didn't look very good either. So the time's come now to replace this fence with what we should have put up in the first place. And I'm going to roll out what I think is the best designed dog mesh in the business. Now, as they say in the classics, here's some we did earlier. Meet the Murray 1390-15 stiff stay mesh with really small apertures that not even the small neighbours' dogs will be able to get through. And it's got a footer added with hinge joint. So it's got another 30 centimetres of wire that's designed to sit flat on the ground, conform to the landform, and stop your dogs from digging. So let's get cracking, put this fence up, and see how much difference we can make in one afternoon. First order of the day was to take down the old fence. We started with the electric wires for obvious reasons, and we're being really careful to keep all of the fixings that we can to reuse, and we're coiling up any of the old wire that's no longer usable. Next, it was time to remove the old ring lock. Now, this is well past its prime. Those of you who are tempted to reuse rusty wire, just be aware that once the wire becomes rusty, it's lost its structural integrity, and if you restrain it, it's much more likely to snap. This can still serve a purpose as being recycled for scrap metal. The other advantage of redoing this fence line is the opportunity to remove a blind corner. Once this corner was put in as a good idea to get around a tree behind it, but in reality, you're much better off just investing in a longer gate and not allowing any of these little tiny corners in your fence lines. They're much harder to strain up, they take a lot of time, and animals can get caught in them. Never a good idea. Always run and end your fence straight if you possibly can. So we're pulling out the old end assembly despite the dirt trying to hang on to it, and we're replacing it with a steel end assembly. This sort of end assembly is really strong, really easy to install by hand, and only takes a couple of minutes. With the end assembly checked for plumb and installed, it was time to install the new mesh. Now, always try and roll your mesh out so that the smaller apertures are at the bottom of the fence. A lot of people make the mistake of rolling out the fence in the wrong direction and have to go down the fence line rolling it over just to get their fence set up. In setting up wire with a skirt is a little bit different to normal wire because you don't wrap the skirt around the post. So what you actually need to do is you need to trim off as many picket wires of the skirt as you're going to trim off the line wires to wrap around the post. So you're going to always take this little square out of the skirt and then take these two picket wires off, and there should be enough to wrap around our steel post. Now, tying off these fences, particularly with the small apertures down low, can be a real pain in the neck. So there's a bit of a hack here that I want to show you, and that is to lift, once you've got your top wire tied, lift your fence up, put a pin into the spare hole of your stock post end assembly, and then tie your bottom wire off the ground. All we then have to do is undo this one nut, slip our stay out, drop the wire down, slip the stay in, and our tying off is so much easier and we're not rubbing around in the dirt. Now, I've tied the top wire off first, so now I'm going to tie the bottom wire off, and I'm going to try and keep the picket wire exactly the same distance from the post as it is at the top wire, and that will then set my fence being straight with the end assembly. Now we've got up to where the stay is, it's starting to foul our knots again. So what we'll do is, because we've only got this end assembly set up finger tight at the moment, we'll just slip this bottom rod out, take our supporting bolt out of the top, drop the fence down, and put our threaded rod stay back in place. Now we've got wires tied above and below our bottom threaded rod, and we haven't had to dig in the ground to do it. One of the advantages of the pre-attached skirt is that as soon as your wire hits the ground, the skirt folds into position and follows the lay of the land. As long as you don't have too many big holes, it's going to lie down nicely just over the surface, and within a few weeks the grass has grown through and you can't even see it. Okay, so we're tied off down that end and we've got the wire standing up. Now all we have to do is strain it and tie it off, and for that we'll go to the other end. Now there's a lot of different strainers on the market. I just go with a set of pretty standard wedge lock strainer boards. I don't muck around with bits of timber and that sort of stuff because they're not safe, and these wedge lock strainer boards go together really fast and pull apart really easily, and just about every major manufacturer has a pair. The only thing that you have to remember is when you're putting them on, like we did with our knots on the end post, line up your picket wires so that they're nice and straight with the strainer boards and you're not pulling on an angle so that you end up with less tense at the bottom and more tense at the top. You want to have a nice even tension all the way through the fence. Once you've got them set on your wire and you're happy with your picket wire spacing, just hammer home the wedges, work up and down the board a few times. Being wedges, they'll knock each other out for the first couple of times, and then you'll start to get a nice hard set. And then I'll show you what we do at this end. Now there's a couple of different ways of straining up prefabricated mesh. I'm sticking to the simplest one today, which is simply straining to the end post. You do need two sets of strainers, but like today, if you don't have a second set on hand, you can just go down the street and get a cheap block and tackle set from your local hardware and attach them onto the bottom. They're easier than mucking around with a set of strainers in the dirt. Anyway, I've got my fence line strainers on the top and I've got a block and tackle on the bottom. All I have to do now is ease both of them up one at a time and try and keep my picket wires nice and straight with the posts. And as I tighten up the fence, I'm going to be going back down and making sure that nothing's hung up, there's no snags or anything that's in the way of getting a nice even strain right along the fence line. Spend plenty of time getting this step right. Now because we've got so many wires in this fence, 13 of them, you're going to be putting a fair strain on it. And there's a question, how do I know if I've strained it too tight? Well, you've got these little strain indicators. If you take note of how big the crimps are at the start, they should be about half the size when you've finished straining it off properly. But also when you walk down the fence, just give it a feel and you'll tell when it's tight enough. You don't want to flatten all of your line wires because that gives you flexibility in the fence so that you can go up and down over undulations and not lose strain. Job's done. Now setting up this end of the wire is very much the same as the other end. I've measured up to where I think that the last picket wire will be before we come into the post and where I'm going to crimp, and I've trimmed the skirt off to that point there. You lose a little bit of tension between the strainer plate and the end post, but if you account for that when you're straining up, applying crimps onto the wires is reasonably quick and simple and incredibly strong. They're one of the strongest joins that you can put on wire. Finally, with the fence all crimped up, all we have to do now is release the pressure on the strainers, walk them back, and because we've used crimps and we've come in nice and close to the post, we've only lost about a chain link of tension, which is quite normal for straining up fences. But nice tight fence. Now I'm using Davo's fencing clips to install to the old posts. Many of you would have recognised that I'm reusing the old posts, and there's a couple of reasons for that. Certainly it saves time and money, but it's also the problem of what to do with old recycled treated pine posts. Disposal of them is getting to be more and more difficult if you all want to abide by the rules. When it comes time to finally replace these, because I'm using Davo's fencing clips, all I have to do is unscrew the fence from them and whack a new post in anyway, so I may as well get another 10 or 15 years out of them before I have to solve the problem of disposal. Davo's fencing clips are super easy to use. I'm putting 4 in, and they're really easy to put at ground level, holding the skirt down into the landform. Don't do them all the way up. Just go until the Davo's fencing clip is snug with the screw, and they'll hold into the posts beautifully. Now I'm fixing the new mesh to the posts in 4 places. Feel free to use more fixing locations, but I wouldn't recommend using less. 1 at the bottom, 1 at the top, absolutely. And I've chosen to put a couple in between. And I'm mounting all of the fixing on the line wires rather than the picket wires so that the fence can move and flex if something hits it. Now, of course, you can use barbed 50mm staples for this as well. If you're choosing to use staples, maybe consider replacing the posts now, because getting staples out of posts is a lot harder than unscrewing clips. And if you are using staples, make sure that you put them in at 30 degrees to the grain and hammer them 2/3 of the way in. This allows the barbs to bite with the timber and avoids the staples falling out of the cracks, which usually run straight down the post. I've made sure to run out new wire at 2.5mm diameter, free of rust, because rust is the killer of electric fences. As the electrons flow around wire rather than through it, you want a nice even surface, or else your performance of your electric fence is going to decline. So spend a little bit of money and put out new fresh wire. Finally, because the skirt is unstrained, it's free to follow the contours of the ground, and it's doing that along 90% of the fence line. There are 1 or 2 spots like this one here where I've done a bit of earthworks where it's still setting up proud, and so what I'm going to do is put a peg in at an angle, maybe 1 or 2, just along this section. It's quite loose dirt here, maybe over here, and just hold that skirt onto the ground until the grass is able to grow through it and secure it. In a couple of weeks' time, I'll be able to pull them out. Well, there you go, and I'm sure you'll agree with me. It's a massive improvement on the old fence. It looks really neat, and it's sure to last decades to come. And the top wire is going to give a shocking experience to any dog that tries to beat it. Guys, if you like this kind of content, don't forget, hit the little subscribe button, give it a thumbs up. There's plenty more on timthompson.ag, and you can get onto the products that I've used in the description below.